For years, I've been studying the Electoral College and the many positions of government in the federal government. The foundation of our government was founded by our founding fathers, many of which believe in Montesquieu's theory of separation of powers. In basic knowledge, they led us to believe that the separation of powers is embedded within our government, that there are three separate branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Each is to function as one balance of the other and function as one check over another should they become unconstitutional over one another. However, the vice president is unconstitutional if we were to go to this theory of separation of powers. Why? The vice president is voted in as an executive but functions as a legislator because they sit counting the electoral votes with the legislative branch, is president of the Senate, which heads the Senate, but the Senate rules hold back the president of the Senate from speaking because the vice president would have too much power. However, they also get the mediator vote. Since 1789, 301 tiebreaker votes have been casted, and this has determined the fate of America. It has changed the outcome of politics and the way that we implement laws into mainstream politics. The vice president is unconstitutional because it's the executive of the legislative branch. They are the executive of the legislative branch, which is unconstitutional because there is no separation of power between the executive and the legislative branch. It's becoming concerning because they're starting to use the tiebreaker vote to confirm nominations to the Supreme Court or various positions in the government that are used for appointment. It is a way to bypass the Senate through a rigged position. We don't get to elect our vice president. We get one chosen for us during the nomination process of the president-elect. He is not in power yet, but he has enough power to choose his running mate undemocratically, and it should change. And that's why I developed the theory of apportioning the third party to the mediator vote. If the third party were to be the mediator of the vote, the tiebreaker vote, a lot of things in politics want to be rigged for one party over the other, called yin-yang politics. The exchanging of policies of reversals and sub-reversals, and many other policies that are made in state and local governments up to the main, from top-down legislation and bottom-up legislation. I believe that in order to apportion the national vote equally, we must add a third party to the U.S. Constitution. By doing so, we could separate the powers of the vice president from the legislative branch and assure that the democracy stands within our government to elect our leaders to power by including the third party, which are the minority vote in politics. Many have believed that ranked choice voting is the way, but in Australia, ranked choice voting fails because there is no way for a third party to make it when the selection is between two major parties and their candidates within that party. And the third party is usually excluded from choices. They would have to write them in ranked choice voting. Others believe in proportional voting, like in Germany, but Germany has a proportional voting system where 5 political parties dominate the parliamentary system of that country. But that also fails because there's too many political parties to decide which policies should make it to mainstream politics. That's why the third party must be amended to the Constitution to be able to include the minorities of the political parties that are made, so that there are political shifts within Congress from the third party to the mainstream politics, so that we can have a change and influx of different political parties that can infiltrate Congress, so that we can have different perspectives and views coming into our laws and systems of government that will break every single chain and constraint that the Republicans and Democrats have held in this country for so many years. It will resolve the issue of proportioning and reapportioning every 10 years because we could take all the votes of the reapportioning and place it into one political position, the third party position, the mediator vote, the mediator of politics, the president of the Senate. I guarantee that if the third party were to be the president of the Senate, it would have a lot more say in politics, a voice, just like the Speaker of the House, but much better because they would have the say over appointments and so much more. Therefore, as a constitutional theorist, I believe that the third party should be apportioned to the third party vote and voted for on a national scale as the president of the Senate. That's the way that the third party can be the mediator vote between two political parties as the mediator. So that the political process wouldn't be rigged to where one political party gets the power to grab the political seat every political term that the seat is up. There is a political monopoly surrounding the vice presidency. It needs to be broken. And the way that we can do is to add the third party to the Constitution to break apart the political monopoly. This will be a tripartite system of government. This is my political theory, the third party power of legislation. Thank you.